What's going on, everybody? Adrian here. Welcome back to the channel. This is a review for Guild Wars 2's latest episode for the Living World Season 4. Episode 4, A Star to Guide Us. And guys, right off the bat, there's going to be lots of story spoilers in this video. So if you haven't played the episode yet, I highly suggest not watching this and coming back after so that we can share notes and compare experiences and talk about it in depth, alright? So this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't played, get out of here. Come back later. Alrighty, with spoiler warnings and teaser trailers out of the way, let's get into the meat of the review. And in this video, I'm going to be covering the main story specifically. So there's 5 chapters in total. I'll be going over an overview of what those chapters contain, plot-wise and boss fights and all that good stuff. So again, spoilers ahead, alright? And in upcoming videos, I'll cover more about the map, Jahai Bluffs, in addition to all the good stuff, the map meta, the JP, the world bosses, the collections, Sun's Refuge. I'll talk about that in a separate video. Let's get to the story. Joko's dead, and Korna is recovering. Chapter 1 of Episode 4 starts with Taimi informing you that Aurene has crash-landed an important political meeting between delegates that are looking to broker for peace in the city of Jahai after a tumultuous series of events that have played out over the last 3 episodes and during the Path of Fire expansion. Bram sneaks you into Jahai, and things only go south from then on. Archon Ibero almost stages an ambush, but Kosan puts an end to that quick. However, the city hall comes under attack by Kralkatoric's lieutenant, Def Shatterer, a new dragon to spoil the party. And it is here that the episode shows off its first mechanic fight, as the commander, you, must lead the survivors to safety while avoiding the claws of the Def Shatterer that could kill the survivors. The objective here with the accompanying achievement is to get everyone out alive, and the fight itself works just fine. Players will have to use their special action button or hotkey to target the survivors and shout at them to let them know it's safe to come to you, and you'll end up hurting them through multiple corridors and hallways while breaking down any branded obstacles and killing enemies too. The mechanic fight ends with a showdown, and you'll have to take out death-branded hierarch Chikere, and this is a simple fight, but watch out for his conditions. Once all is done, everyone convenes outside to watch Aurene take off, and the death-branded Shatterer fly into what appears to be a rift, formed due to the shattering of realities and things I cannot explain. The good news? The Vigil have arrived, and General Almora Soul Keeper makes an appearance. We have not seen her and the Vigil in a while, and their presence here is a hint of what players can expect on this new map. The bad news, though, is that these rifts are now showing up all over Jahai, and it's our job to go investigate them. In Chapter 2, Chaos Theory, players are now free to roam and explore the Jahai Bluffs map, and I highly encourage you to do so as you make your way around, completing the objectives for the story. I won't talk about the map meta, the new jumping puzzle, and other stuff right now, but here's some highlights of what you can expect. There's new rift events, a frigging cool tornado that moves organically around which gives you a lift, and you can then glide or get on your griffin to collect volatile magic up in the air. There's 3 heart tasks and new bounties, and a new death-branded Shatterer world boss, baby. We saw the Vigil arrive earlier, and what other reason would they need to come here other than to fight dragons? They've set up shop at Almora's stand, northwest of the map, to fight the dragon, and unlike the core game's Shatterer World Boss event, this one is definitely different in a good way. For starters, the area where the fight happens is really small, and the frequency of trash is higher, and players can also use golems now for the fight. More on this and other map activities in a future video, I promise. Now back to the story chapter. As you make your way around exploring these bizarre occurrences around Jahai, you'll notice a common theme: throwbacks to other parts of Guild Wars, both games. Firstly, there's the Northern Tower, where upon investigation, you get to witness and participate in the invasion of ore between the Char and humans which happened in the past. You'll also interact with a tablet with a poem on it, which Timey then tells you is a favorite of Traherne, and something he used to quote a lot. That's a nice touch there with a nod to the former Pact Marshal. Elsewhere, an actual part of Maguma shows up right in the middle of Jahai, and it comes complete with bouncing mushrooms, updrafts for gliding, and of course, the chalk. You'll sure as heck feel like you're in a Heart of Thorns map. The real purpose of the investigation, though, leads you to a branded village where survivors are alive and well for staying in cover, which leads to the discovery of two key findings. Firstly, Kralkatorrik is attacking places that Aurene has been to in her quest to aid the people of Korna. He's hunting her. And secondly, Kralkatorrik cannot brand anywhere that's either underground or well covered. At this point, Kosan suggests that we go take a look at an old Sunspear hideout and make camp there that's safe from this Elder Dragon. Care to take a guess where we're heading to next? You guessed it, Sun's Refuge. In Chapter 3 Legacy, we finally get to see what Sun's Refuge is all about. The brand new feature introduced this episode that allows players to build up their instance to offer some tangible benefits moving forward. When we get there, it's deserted and full of creepy crawlies, so the first order of business is to relight the fires to activate Cormyr's protection spell. And that introduces the first boss fight in this chapter. A giant spider emerges, and players must light fires and kill the spider in under 7 minutes for an achievement. All because Bram opened his big mouth about it. The irony is, he's afraid of spiders, and gets feared occasionally during the fight, so you'll have to use your special action button to snap him out of it whenever a spider gets too close, and get back to work on lighting the fires. There's fires to light in multiple corners of the Sun's Refuge area, but the giant spider will swallow you both and move you around, so no big deal there. The mechanics are pretty straightforward. Keep spiders off Bram, destroy eggs to prevent more from spawning, and DPS the boss. Remember, 7 minutes for the achievement. Once the place is cleared, the rest of the gang arrives with Aurene in tow, but the refuge comes under attack when a rift opens right outside. As you and Bram go charging in to clear the enemies, a cutscene plays, and oh my goodness, Erstagalkin, or her spectral ghost form, appears alongside Snaf, two original members of Destiny's Edge, and they'll help out for the boss fight ahead. The second boss fight in this instance is straightforward as well, and you'll have to kill a branded Riftstalker. The mechanics here are to avoid these large circle AoEs by either moving in between the safe zones or away, and destroying the branded pods he spawns before they hatch and prevent him from taking damage. Rinse and repeat twice or more and you're done. What happens after is really poignant, and one of my favorite moments of Season 4 story so far. You see Bram getting that closure of seeing his mother again and saying what needs to be said because he didn't get a chance before she died in the Heart of Thorns expansion. She makes him realize that while she wasn't always there for him, we are his family now, and that changes Bram, and he's more receptive and approachable towards the guild and our cause now. We also see Snaf interact with Timey, which is a fun bit, and she fangirling over the fact that he knows her was pretty funny. Ultimately though, both Air and Snaf came back with a message from Glint to Aurene. She needs to kill Kralkatorrik and take his place as the Elder Dragon. This puts Aurene into panic mode, and a series of vision plays out cinematically, the same one we saw from the trailer. In every scenario of that vision, Aurene tries to fight Kralkatorrik and dies in every one. Knowing this, she takes off out of fright, and everyone in Sun's Refuge begins to panic. But Blish calms everybody down by saying he's got a plan to fight Kralkatorrik, or rather, a prevention measure to alert us whenever he's coming, because we know he's tracking Aurene, and we figured out he's in the mists, so we need some sort of tracking device. The plan is this: find Balthazar's sword, reignite it with some dragon bait magic, and enter the mists. Once the chapter is complete, players now are able to unlock the first 4 collections from Sun's Refuge, and these includes putting up posters all over the place to bring more NPCs to the instance, which in return unlocks more collections after the entire episode is complete. So stay tuned for a full rundown in a future video. In Chapter 4, From the Ashes, we need to find Balthazar's sword to use as bait. We killed him at the end of Path of Fire, and the sword is somewhere in the Jahai Bluffs. Once we got to the designated location, we learn that a rogue Deadeye has taken the sword and is holding it hostage at a garrison south of the map. This then leads to the next boss fight, a combination of a mechanic and a fight. The garrison is filled with poison fumes, so players will take very minor damage constantly, which means you cannot run as fast. The Deadeye at the start is located at the building's way at the back, so you have to make your way towards it, ducking from cover to cover. Be careful though, if you're out in the open too much, she takes aim at you for a shot which you can easily avoid by dodging, but if you do get hit, you lose the achievement, in addition to being knocked down and taking a ton of damage. Getting to her ensues the fight, just watch out for her melee attacks, they hurt. At lower intervals of health, she then moves on to another corner of the garrison, so you'll need to do the mechanics of avoiding and dodging from obstacle to obstacle again, but this time with suicide bomber ads thrown into the mix. Ultimately though, you best her, and instead of taking her life, you spare it because you recognize her from the vision. She's a priestess of Baradhor named Zafira, who's hell-bent on revenge, but has come to accept the fact that you had to kill a god. So she loans you the sword, and you both make your way back to Sun's Refuge. Quick note about this fight, I liked this one a lot. It had a good blend of challenge and quick thinking, which the other boss fights so far didn't offer, and the design of the place with the placement of the obstacles and destructible terrain that Zafira takes away from you made it really fun to figure out the first time around. And now to the final chapter, Chapter 5, Storm Chasing. We have the sword, and the first order of business is to give it life. With the help of Ridlock and his sword Sohathin, we imbue Balthazar's sword with magic, and it mysteriously now has a mind of its own, moving around and stuff. The time has come to enter the mists and lure out Kralkatorrik to make sure he swallows that sword with the tracking device attached. Blish comes along since it's his idea, much to the displeasure of his brother Gorik, but that didn't change things. So off we went to look for an open rift on the landscape to enter the mists. Once in, it's time to get down to business. Blish sets up the tracking device and you have to keep waves of ads off him, and there's an achievement here that requires Blish doesn't get interrupted, and this can be easily obtained. Just bring your best AoE or Condi builds and you're good to go. Unfortunately, things go haywire as the power source isn't working, and Blish offers to use his own golem power to charge the device to attract Kralkatorrik. He assured us he'll make it and shoos us away from the incoming brandstorm that will kill us because we are mortal. This starts the final mechanic whereby players must get on a raptor and escape the mists, jumping frantically around, following Glint as she drops hints for us on where to go next. In between all of this, Blish comes on the comms and informs you that he lied. He's not going to make it since the power he's using to charge the device will pretty much kill him when it runs out of juice, and that he wishes for us to do good with our lives just as he's done because of Timey. He also mentioned that Timey has a secret, but more on that later. We finally escape through a rift that Glint created. Blish heroically dies, and Kralkatorrik swallows the sword. What a day. A few quick words on that shock ending though. I did not like the way it was done. Blish definitely got a hero send-off, sacrificing his sentient golem self for the greater good, but his last words over the radio didn't have an effect on me as a player, as I'm more focused on trying to make it out alive, figuring out that final mechanic. As a result, it took me another playthrough of that chapter to fully take in Blish's final words over the radio and let the meaning of his message really sink in. In character deaths like these, it's ineffective to make them say something, their final words especially, while you're in the middle of a boss fight or a frantic mechanic, and that's the one negative this chapter thus far. That's not the end though, as upon returning to Sun's Refuge, we deal with the aftermath of what just happened. We confront Timey, who's distraught over Blish and about what he said, and she reveals to us that she's dying. Her terminal illness is getting worse, and Blish was helping her overcome that, and now he's gone. This left me kinda heartbroken, you guys. I love Timey, and to know that she isn't getting better hurts. She puts on a brave face and says, "We have to find Aurene," to which Bram asks how. And right after that, add more chaos and surprise into the mix, Kaith shows up out of nowhere and says she can help with that. And that is a wrap of the story chapters for episode 4 a star to guide us. On to my final thoughts here, guys. This was one hell of an episode in my opinion, the best story-wise of Season 4. It's got everything from emotional roller coasters to fun mechanics and fights, in addition to all the good stuff happening on the new map, which I'll talk about in a separate video. This was also a fantastic throwback episode to us players that's played through all the story content of the past, as well as seeing the throwbacks to the Vigil, Maguma, seeing Aaron, Snaff, and more. It's great fan service, and I came out of this episode feeling really good about it all. Sad too about the outcomes of Blish and what's happening with Timey, and ArenaNet aren't afraid to pull the plug on characters. We've already seen that a couple of times, so let's see what happens moving forward. But overall, solid episode, folks. Let me know your thoughts, what you liked or disliked about your story playthrough in the comments section below. In the next video, I'll be going over all that stuff, map metas, collections, Sun's Refuge, so stay tuned for that. Hit the like button for the love of Guild Wars 2, and feel free to subscribe to my channel for more MMO content. If you've never checked out Guild Wars 2 before and you're keen to try it out, check out the referral links I have in the description box below, sponsored by ArenaNet. I'm an official partner, and by doing that you'll be helping out my channel directly, which I appreciate. Once again, I'm Adrian, and I thank you for watching. Hey folks, welcome to the end screen. Thank you very much for watching that video. If you want to watch more, you can click on the cards at the bottom here, and feel free to subscribe to the channel with the button down there, which will give you notifications on all my latest uploads. Later, Gator.